this program. Hopefully do the 2.0 version, so bigger and better. And we want to get your feedback and ideas on how to make it bigger and better. And we'll share some of the thoughts we already have, and kind of like where we take it from here. And then we'll tell you some more ideas about that too. So that's kind of the agenda. We want to hear a lot from you. But to get started, I just want to jump in a little bit to talk about reflections. So, what we learned a lot when we've been together is that we're seeing these ocean decisions are really being made globally. And obviously the realities are lived locally, but then there's this gap with like what we're seeing at the global level. Some of you had a chance to go to OOC, and we saw a lot of interest in the community, indigenous level type actors are driving change. Then how do we really link that with policy, with finance, with big INGOs, and what does that really look like? And I think we want to hear more and talk a little more about that today. And this program is really trying to close that gap. One thing I just want to highlight to you is that last week, World Resource Institute, WRI, they're the organizers of our Oceans Conference. And the next conference will be in Canada, the next OC, and it'll be focused on Indigenous and community leadership. And they've already reached out through the Coast team of to try to learn from our experiences, again, how can we do this? So we've heard a lot of other similar things from other people. And so again, we're really excited about how we can continue to put focus on this area, not just from what we've done so far, what we can do from here. And I just love some of the quotes that I saw from you guys in the surveys. Thank you for doing that. Here's one from Mark. Global conversations only become meaningful when they improve people's lives on the ground. They can have that tangible impact is directly right. Also in the Philippines, we got Jazar talking about the blind spots of conservation can only be seen and addressed when communities can think and act for themselves. We had a good time. I hope we get to continue to to build out this cohort and continue the relationships. And I really think that was really awesome. But I really want to focus on first is just for everybody and Fareed's going to help me facilitate here, is just 3 questions for today's group today for this first part. And you can answer any question you want. You can answer all of them if you'd like, but just don't talk for too long. Is one, where did it work? What went well? Where did your community's voice reach a decision maker in a government, company, or a big NGO? What made that moment land? This could be something that's happened to you recently, a story that you have. In general, where is it challenging? What keeps community priorities out of the rooms where funding and commitments were set? And question 3, what comes next? What are you guys willing to commit to after participating in these different groups and meetings? What do you want to carry forward? How do you want to turn these relationships and action back home? And what commitments will you make? And I think a lot of I heard from a lot of you is this group, this alumni, this community of practice, a need to exchange and talk about perspectives. And I think that's a big part of why we want to bring these groups together today is again, how can we further really think more systematically and how can we address these issues between what's happening in your communities and how can we push change from decision makers at big NGOs, companies, and governments. So that's kind of, I'll pause there. Does anybody want to jump in? Anything they'd like to share to any of these questions or any thoughts?
All right. So I also like to add Ben's question here also to our emerging, because I think our emerging leaders, even though you're not with us there, but I think your vision, your thinking also good for the next, especially on the third one. But before that, I think maybe Osias, I think I give you opportunity to answer number 1.
All right, thank you. So, what did it works and what works well? I think for me, the training, the capacity that we got before the meeting has led us to deeper understanding to express about our own organization and how it works. And the two things in a uh, short introduction about myself, even um, my organization and what we works and where I come from. And it's led me easy to share with the other organization even before the conference too. So that was very exciting um, meeting. Um, I can share what I have there, um, which is really fantastic. And they can we exchange. Before that, I also print out my business card and stuff to prepare myself to exchange, which is to connect more easily. So and can I continue with the just number one? Let's
Oh,
go
you
with
can
number.
continue. You can go ahead, number 2 and 3, if you have some thought, briefly.
Yes, and the challenge is that when it comes to uh, the meeting room or the discussion or where we attend, it's quite hard um, for me to express and to find out somebody that I could talk to, because the time set is quite limited and we have to move out to some other places. But when it comes to market age uh, mini workshop and short presentation that we made, that's really winding up all our information that we can share. Even we have we have that opportunities to talk to CTI, CFF, which is really good to express to. I think the challenge is quite small, but if if there is any more opportunities for us uh, to ex- to do like market age conducted, um, even short, but everybody voice is there. I think that's really accumulate all the information we have. That's how the local leader uh, can express that. And what come next? So what my suggestion is that, if possible, so the experience and the knowledge we have already shared, if possible, market age to be a continue as a connection or become part of the center where we can access through the donors through market age. And then maybe for me, I suggest market age become as a partners between local leaders, organization, and the and the donors. So and the program that we have, we can access through market age and then markets to the donors. I think this is the main, just to keep us going with the activities that we have, because some of the activities that we have are not supported by our own government, and even the international organization based here, based in Timor, they just want to do directly. I think we have the same challenge too. And and lastly, what I would like to, I think I forget the last one, but yeah, I think, well, last one. It's very exciting. I just want to express most these. And I actually would like to say that the opportunities that I have there have regained me back to my previous link. Even I get more, become as get more promotion uh, to the next level. How I could volunteering help Timor Leste state government uh, to be part of the voluntary commitment of OOC commitment, climate resilience and conservation, part of the 20 countries that already exist. This is exciting. And my government, especially State Secretary of Fisheries, are very exciting and really welcome. I think I'm now become to the next level in my government, even as a volunteer, but I'm excited. This is really good opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak. Thank you, Asias. I appreciate the interest in Market Edge. I would just more say we're here to support you. We're really focused to, locally led and owned approaches. And if there's ways that we can further support that, that's fantastic. And that's kind of what Market Edge was founded on, is basically on that focus. Maybe I'm going to call on Fareed. Fareed, who would you like to call on next? Perhaps
Thanks.
some of our emerging leaders.
Yeah, I just want to add on what you just said about the role of marketers. So I think at this point, if I may speak and suggest to marketers that there's a two-way of working with these current cohorts, including the emerging, is unilaterally and bilaterally. That means unilateral, we work as a group, and as sometime there's an opportunity shows comes as a group kind of opportunity, but time to time, I believe Market Edge, this is where they excel. There's an opportunity specific to certain country or to certain activities, and this is probably knowing you will be benefit. So who we gonna talk to in the future if we have some opportunity. For example, there's some people inquiring potential opportunity of funding tourism in Timor-Leste, then we know who to talk to immediately to connect. So that's one thing. So thanks for brought that, Osias. But I want to ask one question both to Caesar and Mark, because he mentioned a little bit about during the conference you able to talk to BFAR people, and which is something opportunity that a lot of us encounter during this conference. You meet with the minister, you meet with high level people. I think even Osias meet with the state secretary. But for Mark and Cesar, how are you going to capitalize your ability, your opportunity meeting with the BFAR? I start with Mark first.
Hi, buddy. Sorry, I'm not sure if my internet is well. I'm on the road. I hope you can hear me.
Sure.
Thank you for the question. I'm probably not gonna use the word capitalize, but probably the leverage that I wanted to jump up on from that meeting is that we are able to establish a connection with the BFAR, not only about protected areas but also in monitoring. We have to sit down. I have to sit down with Jizar on how to do this strategically, because he has his own network and I have mine as well across the Philippines. But the first step is to go back to the community and to our own local policy. So before getting to BFAR, we have series of steps on policy decisions. So we have this called farm Cs. So we have this fisheries and aquatic resources management councils, which push forwards policies altogether. So that's one in terms of policy. And the second is on different challenges across different skills altogether with the BFAR. But it's a good thing that they're there and we are able to use the leverage that we have in terms of network and in terms of underground activities altogether. But then again, I haven't sit down with Jizar yet on how we would want to push this forward. Jizar, if you also have some thoughts on this. Thank you, Farid.
Thank you, Mark. Cesar?
Yes. I I've already had a prior relationship with the people from before, but the correspondence are only limited to letters. So it's funny that we only met them in person when we were 1,000 miles away from the Philippines. But so yes, the relationship was, I think it was strengthened because we saw each other in person and we were able to raise some of the priority points that we are working on right now. And I think the biggest impact of the relationship is on the advocacy that we're trying to push. Since both of us are aware and there's commitment to the Mombasa Declaration, for example, we can use that commitment to our advocacy. That, if, for example, we can now say that the Mombasa Declaration, the commitment to Mombasa Declaration wouldn't succeed if the labor of the fish workers are not well, the IOU fishing at the small and medium scale level are not addressed. So we can maximize that. And I think there's also a widening of network because more than the Bureau of Fisheries, we were also able to reach the House of Representatives, and the representative of the Congress, the House of Representatives, filed a resolution to create a feasibility study on the matters that were talked about during the OOC. So we're also maximizing on that, using this spark of the clout, the commitment. They wanted to commit. Now, what do they need to do in order to commit well? What would make these things feasible? That's where we try. I think those are entry points for us to push for. Hey, this community is already doing this. These groups already doing this. Now, these are all essential to fully commit to transparency, to fully commit to sustainable fishing. So that's where we are at right now. So the relationship is continuing.
Well, that's awesome. I think if we need more information, we will approach you because it's really exciting. How do you push this kind of thing into realities after the Ocean Conference? I think Mark, have I
Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, just to also add, I have talked to my communities as well, and we are preparing an invitation to Jezar to go to Baler to sit down on this as well. In last week August. So just a heads up, Jezar.
Wow.
Yeah. So we'll be inviting you to our own community to sit down on OOC and the path forward. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's awesome, guys. I love it.
Yeah. So now I want to ask some of our emerging leaders. I know we sorry that you were not able to with us, but we have these three questions. But we particularly interested to see on the third question, and also what you take from what the leaders just mentioned now. So who want to volunteer to help me on answering number 3 from the emerging leaders? I think Chen, John Reyes, and Alvin, you're here. If it's not, I'm going to pick one, the lucky one. Chin, can you help me on number 3? What is your expectation? What come and what do you think will be good of you getting into this program?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
So for me, I think that is to to share this this event to the community so that the community exposed to this program, because I think the community here do not aware about this program. So based on my learning throughout the previous capacity building, so I think I want to advocate what I have learned to them so that the community have the courage to speak on their work related to fisheries, related to conservation. So I am interested in listening to Mark and Jazar experience and how they connected to each other. So I hope that I can, connect with Agnes, since Agnes representing Malaysia to the event. So I would like to hear more from Agnes so that I can bring the story to our community. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Chen. So I know you come probably late. Probably you missed the things that next year there will be another our ocean conference in Halifax, Canada, that focus more on Indigenous people, and we would like to keep connect with all these emerging leaders. So you will keep updating if any opportunity arise related to that, and also to other things that probably later Ben will explain as well. But any thought from Alvin or from John?
Hi, good morning, everyone. So first of all, I must admit, not only I wasn't at that conference, but I also missed most of the online sessions just because I was in and out of field most of the last few weeks. But I mean, my hope in wanting to be part of this is so that we've got connections in our neighboring countries. I work for Reef Check Malaysia, and we are now doing a little bit more to help revive reef check in the neighboring countries, namely like Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines as well. So it would be nice to know who's working where, doing what, and then also we've done a lot with training local islanders to get more involved in co-management. Malaysia is a very top-down country, and we are trying to change that with empowering some of the islanders to get involved and have a say in how the MPAs are managed. And it's something we want to learn from other countries as well in this region. Yeah. So for me, my hope in all this is really to have these connections with our neighboring countries and try to do more together. Thank you.
Yeah,
That's
thanks.
awesome, Alvin. I like that a lot. And I think that is a lot what we were thinking about too, is how can we, yes, it's nice to come together in sessions like these. And Alvin, you were mentioning you're in the field recently and we get busy, but like, how can we maybe think of like how we can co-create some activities to do together? And so we'd be really interested in that. And Fareed, I'm gonna just move on here because I think it's a good segue. And so like on this next aspect, again, I think we all share this very similar goals of like how we can really close that gap that we were mentioning with these different groups. And I think I like Alvin's point there too, because oceans are inherently regional and global, and we need to figure out how to work together across these things, like often across borders. And I do think that what I saw at OOC was that everybody wants to figure out how to work with community actors better. The interest is there. And I feel like sometimes community-led actors might have this perspective that their lived realities, their perspectives may not hold weight. But I think what we saw at OOC, that it's such a big focus, this next one in Canada, they really do want to know. And they want to know what might work, what might not work. And I think there's a dialogue there that we can also challenge them a bit. Like in one of the side sessions I was in, they were mentioning about doing more blended finance and blended capital. And yet it was unclear how these types of financial instruments could actually make it work for an organization that might be a bit smaller, working at the community level. And I think we should challenge that and say, well, you can make all the financial instruments you want, but if they're not actually being used and going to the actors driving change on the ground, then we got to push that. And I think that's something at a regional level that you're going to be able to learn from, because maybe something's working in the Philippines that could be learned and how to work in Malaysia. So I also think we need to push and share what could work and be solution oriented, not just this isn't working, this is a problem, but being solution oriented and thinking, how can we take the experience and go from here? And so that's just a way of just kind of thinking a little bit through. I do want to hear, let's talk about a little about the community, the national and regional level. So just in your own communities, how do we strengthen the standing of local leaders so that their knowledge shapes decisions, rather than informing them? Whose voice still goes unheard in your community and why? What tools or rights would let communities lead, not just advise? And how do we protect community priorities as they travel upward? And I'm gonna add, because Chin just mentioned it, I'm gonna ask Agnes to give her thoughts and ideas on any of these questions that she might see in Sabah and Malaysia. Agnes?
Hi, how do we, like for the community I'm at, I think maybe I will just answer the second questions and then think about the next one. Um, for according to my experience, so when we started like a community module in like different community, I would say it's better if we improvise our module according to their current needs. So like for example, the module that we have is like plastic upcycling, and sometimes the plastic waste is not uh as many as we thought, and it's not able to involve a lot of participants there. So we have to find like plan B and plan C. And that is really helpful when we let the community to think and then to suggest themselves what other types of plastic upcycle initiatives that they can do. So for example, other than using the machine, what they do is they try to use the plastic recycle bag, um, with them into the other product. So this is what we didn't really thought to do at first, but I think when we give them a platform and a voice to let them, we hear them and let them speak, some of the plans that we didn't plan beforehand actually works. So we kind of like work along the way, like we as a as kind of like NGO, we go together with them instead of seeing ourselves as lead. Yeah. So uh, when we work with them and when we see them as a partners, not just the receiver of the benefits, I think a lot of things we work out easily, and um, we have mutual interest, and that's helpful when doing a community work. Yeah.
So Agnes, you're saying you really treat them as partners, as not as like beneficiaries. You're co-creating with them. You're talking about what could work. You're trying to figure it out. That's a key thing that you're saying. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's excellent. Thank you, Agnes, for sharing. Anybody else want to share?
Maybe I can add a little bit.
Please,
So,
please.
so we are working on something similar. This is what we're trying to do, right? We train the islanders and then we're trying to get them involved in management. And one of the things we've noticed, if it's just consultations, then we end up with the challenge in box number one, because it's just they're just heard, but they're not actually involved in decision making. So what we're doing now is we're looking at the different laws in the states, because yes, Malaysia is a very top-down country, but the states have certain autonomy for certain things. We are looking at the different laws where it would allow for bodies to be formed, like we are calling them like a protected area management body, where then the local community is actually a sitting member. They're part of that decision-making body, and they're not just consulted once in a while, so that the box is checked when the decision by the decision makers to say like, yes, we've already talked to them, box checked. Okay, now let's sit together among ourselves and make the decision. So this is what we are trying to do.
That's awesome. I like that too. I think again, this framework, this approach, that work quite well. Let's move on. Let's talk at the national level. How do we build durable channels between coastal communities and national decision makers? This could be with companies, governments, or even like your big national NGOs. What's needed to be done so that these things that you guys are doing at the community level, or you're working with them as equal, like-minded partners, can be more throughout the national level, so that again, we don't have this disconnect between a national policy and what a community actually needs, or where funding instruments are going and where's what's actually needed. Has anyone seen anything that's working well in your own countries or communities that are helping to close that gap? Does anybody have anything that they could highlight? Yes, Jazar.
Yes,
And
I'd like to
Sai.
share this. This was also mentioned by Mark, the Fisheries Aquatic Resource Management Councils, and I also heard this during the last plenary that this is also being practiced in Ghana. This is a council composed majority by fishers and government officials and non-government actors, and this is the only time when the fishers are more powerful than the government because in within those councils they are the officers. They dictate where the what the priority policies programs are. So these are happening at the village level. There's also the municipal level. There is an integrated level for the bodies of water that are shared by different municipalities, and there's a national level that decides on large impact things like importation or national policies. So this is already institutionalized. This is already within the law. They have this power, but this is not being maximized because there are still gaps. For example, the quality of the engagement of the fishers in these councils is only as effective when they are strong as organizations in their communities, that they will not be prone to regulatory capture, that they will not be prone to corruption, that they will not be prone to influences that will make them decide not good things for their community. At the same time, there's also a gap in the vertical integration. So the local councils are not really connected to the integrated councils, to the national councils. I think mainly because of logistical problems. When you have an archipelagic country, these people cannot meet all the time because it costs a lot. And are the governments ready to fund these councils so that the conversations are going to continue? So some councils are already reaching out to non-government organizations. I think some of the councils are already funded by EU so that they would be able to continue the practice of these councils.
That's a good example too. I'm gonna shift it over to Asias. Would you like to talk about something that you're seeing in Timor-Leste?
Yes, thank you, Ben. Well, my suggestion is, I think everyone having the same issue in a small island state country, but one of the I think my suggestion is that at the moment the Tahoe Foundation, which also funded myself, which focus on IUU illegal fishing and targeting for South Bank conservation in the Timor Sea. So we are now targeting to set up National Conservation Council in Timor. So this National Conservation Timor is composed of the all indigenous Tarapandu, which is LMMA, local marine managed area, in all coastal communities and coastal marine coastal marine tourism in all around Timor-Leste operators. So we are aimed to bring them together, and we set up a council which is not from the government or any like state institution, but this is formed by the civil society or stakeholders in conservation and marine tourism operators. So altogether, we set up one council, but in collaboration with the state to form this council. So this council then in the future will become as a voice for the coastal communities to the national level. And this is one of our proposed proposal that we are aiming to implement in 2026. We're looking for the funding to set up this this program. Hopefully, this will have funding would be happen soon. But this is the And this is also relevant to Timor-Leste law policy, also recognized the council with setting up by the local coastal leaders. I hope this will come true, but this is my suggestion. If we can get a funding, can help us through this, I think that's where we can have a strong voice at the national level. To
I
represent
think that's
the-
great. I like both those examples, and it comes down to how can you better get well organized to increase your voice and your agency, to streamline things, to to up the chain to policymakers, to companies. And so even going beyond national, as Alvin helped us set up before, is the regional level. So when we first started doing this activity, we actually were hoping to be called ASEAN Sea Leaders, for those that you know. But I used to work in the ASEAN Secretariat a long time ago, and I should have known better, because you have to go through a formal process of getting things approved. And then very close to ASEAN is CFDEC, and the Coral Triangle Initiative. And then, of course, there's these big forums like Our Ocean and others. I'm curious if any of you ever worked with CFDEC or CTI or even ASEAN before. Have any of you come across them and got a chance to engage? Alvin or Mark?
Yeah, Alvin, you can go first.
No. I mean, I don't have much to say, but yes, we have done work with the CTI CFF.
Okay.
Yeah, I worked with the ASEAN Center for Biodiversity few years
Oh, I
back.
know those guys. Yeah, I remember them.
Yeah, so I was also having a conversation with them during the OOC, but sadly they were not able to go. No one from the ECB was able to go, but I know the persons there working for Oceans, so I was kind of like having conversations and what to do with after OOC as well, because at the
Okay.
moment they don't have any kind of like, how do I explain this, like projects related at the moment for those kind of networking stuff. But yeah, but they do
Yeah,
have regional
they're like
network now.
they're like a special part. They're even like outside of the normal
Yeah,
ASEAN one, but that's cool. I usually worked with the ASEAN working group on fisheries, and as well as like the different other line ministries and then the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. What we've often seen is that they tend to focus on like IUU and big regional stuff, but then how that translates to the local level is tricky, right? So like we're
Yeah.
hoping that we can address that. And maybe though, again, they're still part of the ASEAN infrastructure. I remember looking at the crazy ASEAN like
yeah,
org chart, if you will, and they're there, and they could play a key role. ASEAN Foundation is like another one that kind of sneaks in there. But
they do have a regional project door at the moment on the NMAP, so it's kind of like a regional marine
Okay.
protected areas for 30 by 30 targets. So I think that's also a good entry point. For because there are community kind of like level activities there that fits into target 3 for 30 by 30. So and that's a big conversations at the OOC as well. So yeah, I think those are probably some entry points we could look at the regional level. But yeah, thank you.
I
Ben.
think also maybe you're aware that both Chin and Agnes working closely with CTICFF, both of them is actually Youth Ambassadors Program.
Right.
Chin second cohort and Agnes the first cohort.
That's awesome. And sorry, then with CFTEC, sorry, could you tell me anything more with CFTEC? Because I know they're part of ASEAN through the ASS, this partnership agreement they have. And I know anytime I worked with ASEAN, we always worked with CFTEC in the past too. Has anyone found them be useful or valuable in your efforts in your community, or what could make them more useful and engaging?
Try and work with CFDEC, I guess. This is time for you to talk.
Yeah, I know SIPDEC. SIPDEC in Vietnam for ECDT. Yes, in Binh Duong.
Okay, that's good, Trong. So
Yeah, I
Yes.
think it's for Southeast Asia, ASEAN and SIPDEC are key. Vietnam is a member, and it direct cover Carib and coastal community issue. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
So we might need your experience there, Trung, to help us as we figure this out, because we have like 15 minutes left, and I want to get your inputs where we go from here. So from that, by the way, guys, I'm so sorry for all the surveys. We have one last survey, and it's really important. And Osias already completed it first, so he gets the prize next time I see him. But if you guys could also help, appreciate it.
Hi,
But-
Ben.
Yes.
Can I just state something on
Oh, please.
the previous slide?
Oh, sure. Let me go back. I'm moving too fast.
Yeah, the previous slide. Yes. At the moment, the Timor-Leste, as a civil society organization, we don't know how to access through the Asian and SIDBAC. We haven't heard
that's
about that.
interesting. Yeah.
But the CTI CFF most likely work with the government of Timor-Leste, because this is formed by the government, as I know. And it's very to get to the funding through CTI CFF, we have to go through the government. If myself, individual, if I align with the government, state political party staff, I think they will allow me to access to it. If not, I may not possible access to that funding. As I discussed with the CTI CFF last time on the meeting, I think this could be a challenge for us in Timor. Because as I know, that funding also, CTI CFF, also government of Timor also make a funding, contribute to CTI CFF.
Yeah.
So monthly, yeah. And then
Yeah,
it's hardly for us. We don't even get benefit from CTI CFF. What CTI CFF doing is they approach to international organization based in Timor. That's really hardly for us to convince or talk to. I think this is a challenge for us. I don't know. Last time I discussed with the Handoko. It's a Handoko, no. What is his name? Mr. Chris. Yeah,
Chris.
Mr. Chris. Yeah, I think I will email to him, maybe ask for any change that we can get something from. But if Marketage could make approach for us, then I think that will be great that we can access to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And yeah, I mean, I think again, that's a good segue, because I want to talk a little bit about the feedback I heard from you guys, and it was really good. First of all, I feel like we're all friends now. And again, I wish we had the emerging leaders too, if we could have done it. But it was so nice to meet all of you. I feel like it would have been nice to meet earlier. So front load in-person time. I know there's workshops. There was a lot to cover, and I think there was so much we could have been better on the time for each of them. And then structured prep groups, like it would have been nice, I think, especially if you guys knew each other ahead of time. And it sounds like you're all working quite a bit and come up with all types of ideas outside. So perhaps, small peer groups to workshop ideas between sessions. We did hear about more pitch practice and coaching to better practice to get more, time. Some post-conference action plans, so you have very clear things to do. How we can bring in some digital skills tracks and other things. So that's things that we can definitely do as we look ahead. But I also kind of want to just hear more from you. Like, if we did a 2.0, where else would we want to go? So there's been some thoughts that, yes, we want to do more in ASEAN, Southeast Asia, but also perhaps we could engage your counterparts in East Africa or in Ghana or other places. It seems like you guys are quite excited about, and Trong just had a great comment. How can we continue the conversation? How can we continue to work around focused things? I think it's also important for you guys to take that initiative, invite people to events like we hear in the Philippines between Mark and Jazar. And Osias, I think you and I talked about this a bit too, is that how can we do more of a focus on organizational capabilities like business development, winning proposals, how to engage certain actors, how to grow partnerships, how to strengthen their operational systems. We talked about this, just so you know, everybody. We talked about this for this activity, but we wanted to focus it more on individuals to get you ready for OOC. So we didn't go too deep on, how to really strengthen your organizational capabilities. But perhaps that's something we could do. And often that's something we really like to do if you can, you have seed funds or grants or prizes. And I love the idea, theoretically, of how can we do regional programs together where, you guys could work together to basically, actually get paid and funded to think of these regional concepts. Kundorna couldn't join us today, but I know during our workshop, our side event in Mombasa, she did a really great job pulling that all together. And then, yes, I also want to think through. So ASEAN and CFDEC and maybe in CTI, I don't know, I'm not an expert in CTI, but on ASEAN and CFDEC, they're not going to necessarily get you money, but they will help you increase your voice and help you get greater coverage and influence. So that we can pair that with donors and other funders, it can be quite effective. And so there's a lot of different things we're thinking of. And I just want to also just mention the Coast team, the program at DAI. They're amazing. We want to keep working with them. I think we're hoping they could join the call today. We didn't, but Oceankind, for those of you who got a chance to meet Mariko, she was able to help us through a bit of a challenge with the U.S. war in Iran. Mark and Jayzar, I don't know if you know this program, but the Christina, she's in the Philippines, but they work through ASEAN. And Christina, we've been talking to her, trying to figure out how we can work with them. WRI is they're the ones organizing our ocean conference. And again, how can we further help them make sure that they train and get people ready from indigenous community groups? And then last, I think a lot of you guys talked to Al Harris from Orca, and we've also talked to Blue Ventures and Schmidt Marines. We're trying to think of some other ideas, but basically, as we did this just with Coast and a little bit of Oceankind to get started, and a little bit of GIZ Bluefish Fair project. They helped us with some flights, but we really like to think. I think to make this something that's going to be a better impact, how can we really take a broader approach and pull in more actors? So we can make it bigger and better, as I was mentioning. And one last idea before I ask you guys for any ideas or thoughts you have is there is this SAVET conference that's really getting more focused on tech in the seafood sector, but it's in Cebu, and Farid and I are trying to think through maybe we could do a side event there. It's just an idea at this point. We'd love for you guys to be able to go and participate and maybe tech is a good digital solutions might be a good way of kind of saying, okay, we need more organizations at the community level to use more digital solutions, but also how can we use digital solutions to close that gap between kind of the policymakers and companies and INGOs. And I think maybe we could kind of co-create around that, and that could be a focus of this 2.0 version. So these are just some of our thoughts and ideas that we've heard from you, we've seen in the notes, and some of our own thoughts too. Is there anything that you like a lot or anything that I'm missing that you really want us to focus on as we continue to think of this next approach? Okay, but Mark, do you want to just tell us real quickly? I appreciate the point, but I can't read that fast.
Thank you, Ben. This is one of my reflections as well on the OOC, like how do we really now engage youth in fisheries, because as we know, fisheries is kind of like an aging sector. And so perhaps one kind of like entry point is to bring them in because they bring also the tech. And maybe they could help with many other areas, including monitoring altogether. So it's not like really fishing, but around the fishing industry still that the youth can be involved. Something like that. It's just a very general one.
That's great.
Yeah, thanks, Mar. I think I'm currently actually working on that area also to think, because I'm actually by heart is technology evangelist rather than conservationist. I have no background on conservation. But what my thinking is that we need to work, especially on the contact of coastal people, coastal leaders, that how technology that not left them behind and been take advantage by people who have more access to the technology, like people in the urban area or industry, but more on uh, concern on how the base of pyramid. This is people who live in the coastal mostly, to can benefit of this technology. So yeah, look forward to talk to you soon. Get some more ideas.
And actually, can I ask the group, or you don't need to answer now, but again, like the Trung's point made me think is I don't want this to feel like this is the end of any way. What I'd actually like to do is, provide Fareed is up for it as well, but it's like I do think that give me a month, give our team a few weeks, maybe a month, and we might be able to have a better concept in place. And we'd love to get your guys' ideas on it again, and we could send it to you, and maybe we could talk, because I the best programs, as you guys know, rightfully so, are the ones that are designed with the people that are going to benefit from them. They're gonna live with the outcomes. So, and you guys are great examples. So we'd also like to think through ways that, again, like keep you guys involved as alumni or even as actors. Again, I don't think I think for the cohort, I don't think you guys, we want to keep you guys engaged in a meaningful ways. I have no idea how any of this is going to look yet, because I still need to find funding for this next iteration of the program, but I do think there's a lot of interest. And so in addition to just maybe another session like this in the future, I also just ask you, like, we are getting a lot of interest from people that just going to want to talk to you again. So Fareed and I might reach out and say, could you please, this is emerging leaders too, could you please just talk about your experience? And we might ask you guys to join sessions. And I know you're all very busy, but I know you really care about what we're doing too. And I want you to know this is the focus is really about how can we really, again, put more focus on community driven type organizations and close that gap. And I think the only best, I can make a very fancy PowerPoint. I can talk a lot and say good stories. But ultimately what's really going to get a lot of these decision makers really excited is talking to you. So what we did at our ocean conference and all that prep we did, getting Agnes and Evelyn ready, for example, for the videos and the press conference, those same skills I'm going to need from you after this too, to again further help market and talk about it. Trung, your point on the chat about CTI CFF, please continue to talk about why SEA leaders and programs like this are so important when you get a chance to talk to these funders and partners. And we'd love to find a way to keep things going, because I think it's just been such a great opportunity. For me, it's been a very enriching experience and very valuable. And I thank you guys all for doing that. So stay tuned, a lot more to come. If you don't accept the invite, Fareed will find you and track you down, but that's okay. And if you don't complete that 2-minute survey that we sent, Fareed will also track you down, but only because we really, really care. We really want to keep trying to find ways of adding value to the great work that you guys do. So apologies for us tracking you down, but also, again, thank you so much for all your commitment. You've been an amazing group. And again, we're finishing a phase, but this is just the beginning, and we're really excited to see what comes next.
Yeah, just last addition for you guys. If you have achieved some accomplishment that you like to share, some success story, some challenges, and how you probably seek for some advice, share with us, so it's go through us. We will distribute to others people the good news, the challenges. Maybe, you know, some people could either replicate or provide you the answers.
We just want to know, share it on WhatsApp. We just want to know there. Like, I love that story I heard with like Mark and Jazar like inviting each other. Like, I love that stuff. Those, I just want to know from a personal level, because it really motivates me to keep doing my job and my work. But second, those stories, as you guys learn in the storytelling module, are very powerful, right? So please share your stories, your experiences. Tell me what we can do better. Tell me how we can help you more. And we're friends now. Like, reach out, let's partner. We want to collaborate. So again, I can't wait to see you guys next in person. I already owe Asai a surprise. I don't know what to get him. If you guys have any ideas, please let me know. I need to give him a good present. So we'll go from there.
Right.
All right.
Thank you, Ben.
I know I get to Osias. I need to get him a karaoke machine because he was such a great singer at our time together. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, and we'll be in touch.
Bye, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben. Bye,
Thank
Maru.
you so much.